Boys and girls, I thought I'd do something a bit different today because I thought I'd read you a really old newspaper that I found on the top of my fridge. It's from July the 27th, which was a Friday, in 2018. I'm really sorry, I've run out of books, but we'll try and make this as interesting as we can. So why don't you send your mums and dads away so we can read this in peace and they can have a bit of a break. So mums, dads, grown-ups, off you go. Bye. Scaramouche. See you later. Have they gone? If they haven't, send them out of the room. Is the coast clear now? Fantastic. I'm not going to read you an old newspaper. I'm going to read you a story about poo. But I didn't think your mums and dads would be very happy about that. Are you ready? Are you comfortable? Come on. Right, come closer so you can see. As you know, this book is one of my favourites. It's by Tom Fletcher, and it's The Dinosaur That Pooped a Planet. Danny and Dinosaur liked to have fun. Some days they had lots, and some days they had none. One day they were bored. They had no games to play. Danny said, "Dinosaur, what shall we do today? We could mow the lawn, we could tidy the place, we could do our chores, or we could go to space." "But you mustn't forget to have your lunch," said their mummy. "You can't have fun without food in your tummy." So they packed a packed lunch for the Science Museum, where rockets were kept if you wanted to see them. There were hundreds of rockets and spaceship surprises, tall ones and small ones of all shapes and sizes, and one that was ready to launch with a door big enough for a boy and his pet dinosaur. They ignored all the warnings. They couldn't care less. They pressed all the things that they shouldn't have pressed. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. They started their intergalactic space mission. They flew higher than houses and buildings and cranes, much higher than birds, even higher than planes. "We're in space!" Danny yelled as they floated around. But the dinosaur's tongue made a rumbling sound. "Is it time to have lunch?" Danny looked at his watch. Then he looked all around for the dino's lunchbox. Danny started to worry. Then he started to panic. They'd left the packed lunches back home on their planet. With no food on board, not the smallest of crumbs, a disastrous dinosaur feast had begun. It gobbled up gadgets and gizmos galore. Nothing was safe from this space dinosaur. Robots and ray guns and blinking red blinkers, eating things thought up by NASA's great thinkers. The hyperdrive gamma reactor machine was swallowed along in the space tractor beam. It chewed and it chomped on the spaceship controls. The rocket was dotted with dino tooth holes. Inside it was bare. The spaceship was empty. Outside there was more things to eat. There was plenty. It broke down the door with a cool ninja chop. Out in space, dinosaurs are much harder to stop. It chomped on the moon like a big chunk of cheese. Then it shoveled even more in its mouth with a squeeze. It munched on Martians from Mars and their cats. Their cats are like ours, but they wear cool hats. Satellites, Saturn, and 6 supernovas, space-shifting saucers, and 7 space rovers. It guzzled 5 gallons of fuel from the tank, and Danny's jaw dropped as he watched what it drank. With a crunch and a crack and a nom 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 nom, in one dino gulp, their rocket was gone. Now nothing was left. All Danny could see was a fat dinosaur where the rocket should be. And so they were stranded with no way back home. Just Danny and Dino in space, all alone. Now Danny was crying. He cried and he cried and he cried, and his tears filled his spacesuit inside. Unless they were going to stay there forever, the dinosaur needed to do something clever. With a feeling of guilt deep down in his gut, his brain brewed a plan involving his butt. It knew there was only one thing it could do. To get them back home, it needed to poo! Oh, it pooped like a poop-powered rocket. The dinosaur flew. Dan hopped on its back and it watched as it pooed. It pooped out the rockets and Reagans and blinkers, the things that NASA's great thinkers thought up were now stinkers. It pooped out the moon, it pooped out the stars, it pooped the space rovers and the Martians from Mars. When Danny looked back, he could see a poop trail from far out in space to the dinosaur's tail. They headed for Earth. They started to orbit. It's pooped on the clouds, but the clouds, they just absorbed it. They flew past the buildings and streets of their town, leaving the houses all smelly and brown, and finally landed back down on the ground. "Hooray!" cried Danny. "We're home, safe and sound." They looked to the sky, and all the things that were pooed had formed a poop planet right next to the moon. And so Danny promised to listen to Mummy, because fun is not fun without food in your tummy. And just when you thought all the pooping was done, a Mars cat plopped out of the dinosaur's bum. What's that? Your parents are coming back. 1 second. And so, as you can see, the kitchen was for sale for £2,000. Okay, boys and girls, that's enough of the news today. See you soon.